Knowles, you're there. Hey, can I hear you?
Can you hear me?
Now I can, yes.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? I think I lost my voice after shouting at my television last night for what you made me do. But that's neither here nor there.
Even I felt slightly guilty about this. And especially you've done such a good job on Another Kingdom that I have to actually, somebody wrote me over the weekend, this is true, they threatened to stop listening to Ben because he's so mean to you. And I said, Ben, you behind the scenes and in secret, we don't like to reveal this too often, but Ben has been incredibly generous and nice to you.
Oh yeah, the other day he was eating a sandwich and a pickle fell, like a little slice of pickle fell off of it, and it hit the floor, and then he picked it up and offered it to me because I didn't have lunch.
I think the fact that when you went and grabbed it, he didn't kick you. I think that's
that's right.
But anyway, she was threatening to stop listening to Ben, and I told her that you were just boys roughhousing.
We're just boys. We're just playing. It's okay, Mom.
But now, with your tremendous performance on Another Kingdom, we have all lifted our respect to you to a little bit of respect.
I really appreciate it. I really liked you sent out a tweet over the weekend. You said you have to tweet out this episode of Another Kingdom to prove that Michael Knowles is possibly good at one thing. It's been so much fun to do. The story has been a lot of fun. I was, I hadn't seen it. We just shot it, and then I leave. And so I finally got to see it. The artwork is unbelievable.
It really is nice, and even my wife said nice things about you.
Wow,
I know. I know. And you were over the house over the weekend. So she was not in a good mood.
I know. she forced it. I was very nice. I did appreciate you getting me hammered before my early morning Fox and Friends hit.
I wanted you to go directly from my house to the studio.
Just go straight
You actually
there.
Went home and got an hour of sleep.
I was mostly speaking in cursive on Fox, but
so to get you back, I sent you to watch the documentary of Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and it was great, right?
Would you call it a documentary? Is that it? I would say that Triumph of the Will offers a more critical analysis of the Reich Party Congress than RBG does of Justice Ginsburg.
That's not entirely fair, you're saying.
Hagiography, I really mean this. It does not begin to describe what this was. I am not exaggerating. I am not making a joke. I've never seen a hagiography like this. It begins. So it's produced by CNN, which is the best part of it all.
Yeah.
Because it's CNN Films, real news, real bananas. And it opens up, bizarrely, it opens up on the Red Scare. So it's Ruth Ginsburg. She's talking about how awful things used to be in the 50s. You'd think she would talk about racial segregation or women not, being able to work in certain industries. No, she talks about the Red Scare, which tells you a lot about the point of view of this movie and the point of view of Ruth Ginsburg. Who, the movie's produced by radical leftists, and Ruth Ginsburg is a radical leftist.
She is, isn't she? She really is that far over.
Her whole career, they try to present her as a moderate who finds her left-wing voice later on. That's not what happened. She was a moderate because the court was very left-wing. And then as George Bush appointed 2 originalists to the court, not even, 1.5 originalists to the court moved to the right. But her whole career was left-wing. I mean, she began her career as an activist during her Senate confirmation hearings. She said not just that I support the Roe v. Wade decision. She said I support abortion rights. She calls for abortion. She obviously imagines.
She said this before her confirmation.
During her confirmation
hearings.
During her
confirmation hearings, okay, yeah.
She said, I support abortion. In order for women to be equal, abortion needs to be legal. It needs to be everywhere. So she's being confirmed to the court as an activist.
And did Republicans vote for her?
Of course they did. Republicans voted to confirm her. I think it was 96-3. And the movie makes a point about this.
Yeah.
The movie says, they actually have Bill Clinton, of all people, who nominated her, say this. Say, well, look, it was a less partisan time, but it was still pretty partisan. Yes, it was partisan when it was conservative justices who were being nominated.
So their point is that she was so wonderful that even the right had to vote for her, which is really what the real point is the right plays fair.
That's right.
And the left doesn't. Yeah,
that's right. You'd have people like John McCain. I sort of admire this about McCain. He would vote for any judge. Any judge who goes up, he says the president has the right to appoint the judges. Right. Might not like them, but the left doesn't abide by that rule. So Ginsburg comes out in 1993. This is 2 years after Clarence Thomas, 2 years after a high-tech lynching. They also try to imply in the movie that Ruth Ginsburg was the pioneer in women on the Supreme Court. She wasn't the first woman on the Supreme Court. The first woman was appointed by Ronald Reagan.
I know they make a big fuss over the fact she's a woman, right? Reagan appointed Sandra Day O'Connor.
That's right.
That's insane. Yeah, go ahead.
They virtually ignore Sandra Day O'Connor. I like to virtually ignore Sandra Day O'Connor too, because she moved to the left.
Yeah.
But they virtually ignore her. They try to make Ginsburg the trailblazer, and there's such fiction. It's such a stretch. They're trying to say she is a cultural icon. They call her the notorious RBG. That's from one blog that some people who read everyday feminism seriously use the term. These are direct quotes. Every time RBG wrote a dissent, the internet would explode.
I remember that. I remember I had to pick up the pieces, had to call they were sweeping the internet pieces, shards off the floor. Yeah.
I mean, just as a very basic matter, the woman doesn't trend on Twitter. The internet does not explode over her. They're just crafting this narrative. They say she's become a rock star. The only time that she really went viral on the internet is when she fell asleep during the State of the Union.
True. Do they even know what the word notorious means?
That's true.
It's not a good thing,
Yeah, I think they're owning it these days.
Yeah.
They have this video of her working out. I
saw that.
So she's working out, and they have this young fit instructor, and he says, "Oh, she's like a cyborg. She's like a machine." See, she does 20 push-ups a day. But then they film the push-up. She lowers her body, a half an inch. I'm not saying, look, she's an older woman.
She's 112 years old.
She's 112 years old.
Yeah.
And then they say, and they're real push-ups. She's barely moving her body, holding these weights that are 2 pounds.
I like when they put her. They have a picture of her doing a plank, and my first thought is, how long has she been in that position? Because if it's over 6 months, you might want to bury her.
Where does core strength end and rigor mortis begin? And the other thing is, during these court hearings, they say that Kavanaugh exposed himself as too partisan. He's too partisan. This woman has been openly partisan for her entire career. Pre-confirmation, post-confirmation, Bush v. Gore. She was one of just 2 justices who voted not to stop the recount.
Wow.
Everybody thinks Bush v. Gore was a 5-4 decision. Ultimately, the decision that ended the question of the presidential election was 5-4. The decision to stop the recount was 7-2. It wasn't even close. And she was in that 2 minority. She's been on the radical side of countless cases. But then in the 2016 election, she called Donald Trump a faker. She said she would move to New Zealand if he were elected.
That's right. I remember that, sure.
She was out and out campaigning for Hillary Clinton, campaigning against Donald Trump.
And she's not going to recuse herself from any decisions that have to do with him.
Of course not. But you never hear that she's too partisan, do you? They want to have it both ways. They can't pick a lane. So they say she's too partisan, but we love her because she's too partisan. Or she's not too partisan, we love her because she's too partisan. But Brett Kavanaugh has to withdraw himself.
So now this raises the question, though. All of this stuff is suddenly coming up. Obviously, Ruth Bader Ginsburg is coming to the end of her term here on Earth.
So they say.
Yes, no one lives forever, and so I wish her well. I'm not wishing ill on her, but I'm just saying at some point the curtain comes down. Why is all of this stuff coming up now? What is the argument? What is the secret? Everything that the left does always has the secret argument about why they should have power. What is the secret argument behind a hagiography of Ruth Bader Ginsburg?
Well, they're creating this fiction that a justice should be replaced by someone who is exactly like them. And some Republicans have even bought into this. So now I don't remember this when Merrick Garland was put up for the court, by the way.
Really? When does what right winger in his right mind would buy into that?
Of course, it's absurd, but they're passing it off as true. They're making their movies, and we have to forget history as recent as 2 years ago. We have to forget about Garland going up to replace Scalia, but they're trying to set this up so that if you thought this Kavanaugh fight was bad, just wait until Amy Coney Barrett is up to replace Ruth Bader Ginsburg. They're trying to set that up. They're also trying to use the possible vacancy for the Democrats the way that Republicans used it in 2016. President Trump may have won because Antonin Scalia died when he did, and because Cocaine Mitch behaved the way he did, postponing filling that seat.
I wonder if this new thing about white women is aimed at Amy Barrett too. I mean, I only support Amy Barrett because she's just so hot. I mean, it's like
and Catholic.
I'm Catholic too.
I
know those Catholic girls. My goodness, yeah.
That's right. But the question you've got to ask is, look, I don't like Sandra Day O'Connor, but where's the Sandra Day O'Connor movie?
Right.
Or where's the Antonin Scalia movie? Or where's the Clarence Thomas Thomas movie. They make movies about Clarence Thomas, but they're about Anita Hill.
Why is that? That's on us, right? I mean, we're not making those movies.
Yes and no. Look, this movie is very stupid. Several minutes of it are just Ginsburg watching clips of Saturday Night Live praising her and her giggling at them. Then you have clips of her granddaughter talking about Booby, cooking in the kitchen for like a significant portion of this movie.
Yeah.
So part of it is I think the right is not as easily emotionally manipulated. We're not as, this is sentimental propaganda tripe. And I think we're not really moved by that. We don't really require that to motivate us. But still, people remember the movies. These movies have really lasting effects.
Yeah,
JFK has lasting effects, right? So I think it would behoove us to do it, also because as you've been saying now for decades, conservatives will not spend money on the arts.
No, they just don't get it. There's always an emergency. Always a fire they're rushing to put out. What are you talking about on your show today?
Today, we're going to talk about the breaking news today. Elizabeth Warren finally admitting that she's 99.9% right. We will be analyzing. We'll obviously be guzzling a lot of these tears because she might be trying to raise heap big wampum on this, but she's not a heap big percentage Native American.
You have tormented her people long enough, Knowles. It's like the arrows will fly.
Yeah, that's right. Oh no, she got me.
I can't wait. Thanks a lot, Michael. I appreciate it.
All right, see you.